Srila Prabhupada Shushata Shushimad, His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki, Om Sukho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Gira Govardhana ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mathura Dham ki, Shri Dwarka Dham ki, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Shri Ram Mayapur ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaurapaman. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru Shri Gaura. Hare Krishna. You got the verses on the screen, I think. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Asta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloki Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langati Girim Yat Kripata Mahambandi Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitaneshwaram. So we've got the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 5th canto, chapter 16, text 2. Is that right? Correct? This is a very long shloka. Only Amrit Gaur can say that one. So let me go through it. Perhaps what we can do is we can recite the word. And you can repeat after me. Tatrapi Priya Vrata Rata Charana Parikhatate Rata Charana Saptabhi Sapta Sindavaha Upakalpita Yataha Etasyaha Saptadvip Vishesha Vikalpaha Tvaya Bhagavan Khalu Suchitaha Etat Eva Akilam Aham Manataha Lakshanataha Cha Sarvam Vigyashami. So the shloka goes Tatrapi Pravirata Ratha Charana Prakrite Saptabhi Sapta Sindhava Upakulpta Yutayatasya Saptadvip Vishesha Vikalpas Tvaya Bhagavan Kalu Suchita Eta Ekailam Aham Manato Lakshanatascha Sarvam Vi Jignasami. Long one. You can repeat after me. Tatrapi Tatrapi in the Bhumandala Prevarta Ratha Charana Parikate, by the ditches made by the wheels of the chariot used by Priyavrata Maharaj while circumambulating Sumeru behind the sun. Saptabhi, by the 7, Sapta, 7, Sindhava, oceans, Upakliptaha, created, Yataha, because of which, Etasyaha, of this Bhumandala, Saptadvip, of the 7 islands. Vishesha Vikalpaha, the mode of the construction. Tvaya, by you. Bhagavan, O great saint. Khalu, indeed. Suchitaha, described. Etat, this. Eva, certainly. Akhilam, whole subject. Aham, I. Mantaha, from the point of view of measurements. Lakshanataha, and from symptoms. Cha, also. Sarvam, everything. Vijnana Shami, wish to know. So here translations given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear Lord, the rolling wheels of Maharaj Priyavrata's chariot created even ditches in which the 7 oceans came into existence. Because of this 7 oceans, Bhumandala is divided into 7 islands. You have given a very general description of their measurements, names and characteristics. Now I wish to know of them in detail. Kindly fulfill my desire. Next verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 5:16, text 3. Bhagavato gunamai shularupa aveshitam manohi agunepi shuksha matmanatma justi pare brahmani bhagavati vasudevake shamam avishtum tayu ahadguro rahas anuvayitum iti. The translation goes, when the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His external features made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought to the platform of pure goodness. In that transcendental position, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of nature. O my Lord, please describe vividly how that form which covers the entire universe is perceived. Purport given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Parikshit had already been advised by his spiritual master, Shukadeva Goswami, to think of the universal form of the Lord, and therefore, following the advice of his spiritual master, he continuously thought of that form. The universal form is certainly material, but because everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ultimately nothing is material. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj's mind was saturated with spiritual consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, Prapachi katanya buddhya hari sambadhi vasutana mumukshabhi parityago vairagyam falgukatate. Everything, even that which is material, in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur translates this verse as follows: Hari sevaya yaha hoya ahoit anukula vishaya bolya tahara tyage haya bhula. One should not give up anything connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking it material or enjoyable for the material senses. Even the senses, when purified, are spiritual. When Maharaj Parikshit was thinking of the universal form of the Lord, his mind was certainly situated on the transcendental platform. Therefore, although he might not have had any reason to be concerned with detailed information of the universe, he was thinking of it in relationship with the Supreme Lord. And therefore, such geographical knowledge was not material, but transcendental. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20, Narada Muni had said, Idam hi vishami Bhagavan evetaraha. The entire universe is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although it appears different from Him. Therefore, although Parikshit Maharaj had no need for geographical knowledge of this universe, that knowledge was also spiritual and transcendental, because he was thinking of the entire universe as an expansion of the energy of the Lord. In our preaching work also, we deal with so many property and money, and so many books bought and sold. But because these dealings are pertain to the Krishna consciousness movement, they should never be considered material. That one is absorbed in thoughts of such management does not mean that he is outside of Krishna consciousness. If one rigidly observes the regulative principles of chanting 16 rounds of the Mahamantra every day, his dealings with the material world for the sake of spreading Krishna consciousness movement are not different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Translation again. When the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His external features made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought to the platform of pure goodness. In the transcendental position, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of material nature. O my Lord, please describe vividly how that form which covers the entire universe is perceived. Om Ajnana Dimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Mulitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Spavanantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamratamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarivascha Kripa Sindhu Vyavicha Patitanam Pavanavyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavanda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Vaishnavas. First of all, I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to glorify this beautiful, wonderful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And I would like to thank Nam Prem Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to come to this beautiful temple. I hope this is not the last time. I'll come more often. So in the very first verse, a description, a little bit of the Vedic cosmology has been given. Yeah? Bhumandala. We're not going to get into the great detail. I'm not an astrologer or a cosmologist to be able to explain to you in detail. But here, Parikshit Maharaj is hearing that 7 oceans have been created in Bhumandala. Who created them? Priyavrata. Priyavrata is the grandson of Lord Brahma. We all know Swayambhu Manu, father of mankind. He is the son of Lord Brahma. So he had 2 sons. One of them is Priyavrata. So these are great personalities in the early days during the creation time, millions and trillions of years ago. Yeah. So to say that simply by his celestial chariot, moving around the sun, he created the 7 islands. The kind of islands that we talk in Vedic cosmology is not the kind of island that we know on this planet, just the small little islands in the ocean. Yeah. The entire group of planets, different kind of planets, can be grouped and known as an island, yeah, Vedically. So he divided the entire universe in 7 different islands. Within those 7 islands, our 14 planetary systems are situated. So the Bhumandal is our own kind of universe, our own planetary system. Here he is describing how this Bhumandal is being controlled and is still controlled by Vivashvan. The sun is prominent in our universe. Yeah, so the sun god Vivashvan actually overlooks and controls the Bhumandala, and the size of the diameter of the Bhumandala of this universe is also given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Can you imagine that? 5,000 years ago, Srila Vyasadeva has written that. Only recently the scientists came up to figure out roughly what the size of the universe could be, but then even then, you know, they don't have a means to calculate. I mean, the Vedas calculate the diameter in yojanas. You know, 1 yojana is equal to 9 miles. So it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, the width or the diameter of the Bhumandala is considered to be 500 million yojanas, which is quite a lot, over 4.5 trillion miles. Yeah? This is just one small universe. That doesn't limit the creation of the Lord with this universe. He has unlimited universes, even outside of this universes. So in other words, the length and the breadth of the universe is so massive that it's literally impossible to come up with any kind of measurement. And that itself is just a small portion of the entire creation of the Lord. Because the spiritual world is even much more greater in comparison to the material world. The material world is very, very limited. But for us, it's unlimited. Virtually, you cannot surpass it, yeah, unless the soul is empowered to be able to surpass. Actually, the beauty of the jiva is so invisible, right, within our heart, but so powerful that it has even a speed which is greater than the speed of a mind. If I tell you, think of London, how long does it take you? You know, within seconds, split of a second, you know, you can imagine London, yeah? That's the speed of the mind, can you imagine? But the soul, the speed of the soul is even faster than that. When the soul is given to be liberated, it can surpass this entire material universe just within a split of a second, very, very fast. So this is the kind of power that insignificant, what appears to be insignificant soul within our body has a power, you know, in comparison to the physical body. So in the second verse, in the translation, there's a description: when the mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality, on his external nature of the universal feature of the Lord, that platform is considered to be pure goodness. Here, Srila Vyasadeva is explaining, Shukadeva Goswami is explaining very clearly that yes, the universal form is considered to be material. Material in the sense that at the end of the day, it's the energy of Krishna. It's the external manifestation of the Lord's energy. Yeah. But when we see it in connection with Krishna, it's actually spiritual. It's transcendental. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj is encouraged here to meditate also on the universal form of the Lord, if it makes his life easier to understand the supremacy of the Lord. Because the universal form of the Lord is pretty gigantic. Krishna is present in the form of the universal form in a very Virat form. Virat means magnanimous or massive or great. But at the same time, he can be also hidden in the smallest particle the material world has. As small as the atom. Can you imagine that? There is a description, a cell, I mean our body, our physical body, the adult body, is made of something in the region of 37 trillion cells. Can you imagine that? Our physical body, adult body, an average adult body, has 37 trillion cells. And within each cell, it is said, there are 100 trillion atoms. So just imagine that. You know, we have a physical body, just one single body containing 37 trillion cells. Can you imagine how much that is? And each cell is made up of various molecules. Yeah, each cell has over 100 trillion atoms. So Krishna is present in every single one of them. So can you imagine, in a single cell, forget a single cell, in a single atom, Krishna is present 100 trillion times in the form of Paramatma within the atom. That's what Lord Brahma is saying. Ekopi so rachitum jagadanta kotim yak chaktirasti jagadanda chayayatanta andantarasta paramanu chantrastam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Lord Brahma is saying all the universe exists in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. Isn't that amazing? He is saying specifically he is present in his fullness. Although Krishna is manifesting in such a minute way within the atom, within the cell, 100 trillion times in the form of Paramatma. Can you imagine how minute that could be? Although he is minute, each atom, each Paramatma is as powerful as Krishna. The form may be different. He may have 4 hands. He may be insignificant minutes. He may not be visible like Venugopal. Yeah? But actually, his power is not any less than the Supreme Bhagavan Swayam. That's why Brahma is saying in his fullness, he is present in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe. So that makes you think, if you think of, I'm giving you an example of one cell, how Krishna is present 100 trillion times. Can you imagine the whole universe? Is there a place where Krishna does not exist? Is it possible for Krishna not to exist anywhere if he is present in every single atom? And yet, he is outside. He is within every atom, but then he is also playing his flute in Goloka Vrindavan. That's what it's been said even in Bhagavad Gita 8:22. Purusha sa parata prata bhaktya labhastvananya yasantya bhutani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. He's saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by all unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is also all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. When we talk about God, this is what we're talking about. This is how great it is. When we say Allah in Islam, they say Allah, the greatest. But many people know how great Krishna is. When we talk about Allah or God or Bhagavan or Krishna, we're talking about a personality, someone we can't even comprehend with our tiny brain. Yeah, God exists everywhere. There's nowhere. Everything you touch, everything is God's creation. Yeah. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami mentioned here, if you see the universal form as material, it becomes material. But when you understand Krishna expanding himself in this form, yeah, then it's no longer material. You can actually meditate. He was telling Parikshit Maharaj, go ahead. You can meditate. So long as you know this is a form of Krishna in a Virat form, in a gigantic form. So in other words, in the purports, Srila Prabhupada explains, anything material, when it is connected to a spiritual activity, it is a spiritual. I remember when I was a bhakta many years ago in the 80s, there was one bhakta who joined, and he came to me, oh Mahaprasad Prabhu, I've got a problem. He said, what is your problem? He said, well, Pujari is offering this flower, and I've received the flower. The flower is just dying, the petals are dying. Surely this is material. Surely this is material. It's dying. It's going to rot very soon. How am I supposed to understand this is spiritual? Spiritual is supposed to be eternal. Yeah. So sometimes we don't understand. Krishna actually is very kind to invest his spiritual energy in this so-called material elements. But when these material elements are used in Krishna's service, they are spiritual. They have potency. For a materialistic person, the little flower that's offered may be dry or whatever. He may see it as material, but if it is offered to Krishna, it has a spiritual potency. When we adore that flower, when we smell that flower in a devotional way, it has a powerful effect. It brings us closer to Krishna. The same with the Archa Vigraha. Krishna didn't have to come in the Archa Vigraha form. He's doing it for us. Because we're so materially contaminated, we're not able to see Krishna. We don't have a spiritual eye, spiritual vision, bhakti, devotion to be able to see Krishna. Therefore, Krishna comes in the form of the Archa Vigraha in a way that we can perceive him, we can see him, we can appreciate him. So when we see the deities, if we see the deities as a marble, oh, somebody made a marble and everything, people are worshipping, it becomes Krishna, becomes material. You won't get any reciprocation from Krishna. But when you approach the Archa Vigraha with love and with devotion, reciprocation is there. Krishna is there. You have captured Krishna. Krishna, I'm in front of you. I see you. That's loving. When we have that, Krishna is reciprocated. That's what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. The more we have that devotional inclination to approach, to reach Krishna, the more he comes to us. Yeah, we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 10 steps towards us. Because he was so keen to have us back, to come back to the spiritual world. So this universal form is described in so many different ways in the Bhagavatam. And it's considered to be actually a temporary manifestation. The universal form is not eternal. It doesn't exist in the spiritual world eternally, but yet it's actually the form of Krishna. So these are vibhutis. Vibhuti in the sense that Krishna has his own splendor, beautiful splendors. Sometimes he just wakes us up to showcase his power, his strength. Yeah. So what's happening is, when we see the universal form, especially devotees, the devatas were given the vision to see the universal form. When Krishna showed the universal form, the Vishwarup to Arjuna, very limited people were given the opportunity. One of them is obviously Arjuna. Arjuna can see the universal form of Krishna. The other one is Hanuman. He was on the flag, right? He was represented, he was told that he will be present in the form of the flag on the chariot. So Hanuman was also present. So Hanuman had the ability to see the Vishwarup as well. Yeah. The other one is Sanjaya, the one who's depicting the Bhagavad Gita discourse to Dhritarashtra. He also had the ability to see the universal form. And the devatas. Krishna also gave the opportunity for the devatas. Because here we are, Kurukshetra, the war was just about to begin. Arjuna and Krishna is discussing. Do you think the devatas will mind their own business? No. All their attention was here in Bhumandala. All their attention was on Arjuna and Krishna. Every devotee was just, okay, what's Krishna going to say? What's Krishna's going to do? Yeah, all their attention. So when Krishna is displaying the Virat Rup, the universal form, he also allowed the devatas to appreciate and to see that beautiful form. But that form, let's not make a mistake, there's a Virat Rup and a Vishwarup. The Vishwarup is the complete universal form which Arjuna saw, which is unique. It hasn't been seen by anyone before. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, this form of mine has not been seen or witnessed by anyone. But you are the first person to see it. But then let's not confuse that there has been other Virat Rups. Virat means gigantic, a big, magnanimous, big form of the Lord. For instance, Yashoda Mai, she also saw the universe within the mouth of Krishna. That's a Virat Rup, a very gigantic universe was seen. But that's not to say that the Vishwarup, or the entire universe that's been witnessed by Krishna, was also witnessed by others. Arjuna could see even the past and the present and the future. He was not able to see just the universe, what goes on in the universe. He could see what was happening in the past. That's amazing. He could see what's happening in the present. He could see Duryodhana, Bhishma Dev, everyone dying into the mouth of Lord Krishna. He could see everybody's heading to death. So even the future was perceived within the Vishwarup. So it's a very unique, very special form that Krishna displayed. So by showing this, Arjuna is asking Krishna to be able to show him this Virat Rupa, not because he doesn't trust Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows the position of Krishna. But he's also giving us the opportunity, giving all the others, giving the devatas the opportunity. Isn't it? The devatas were fooled, and at some points Indra was fooled, wasn't it? Thinking, what is this little boy? When he was lifting the Govardhan hill, he thought he could, pour so many rain and destroy the inhabitants of Vrindavan. But he realized that little boy, Krishna, is actually the Supreme Lord himself. So sometimes even the demigods were fooled to think Krishna is an ordinary child. Yeah. So by showing this kind of universal form, even the demigods appreciate the magnanimity, the power, the strength of Lord Krishna, the power of Lord Krishna. So Arjuna is giving us the opportunity by invoking this question, by telling Krishna, please show me. He is benefiting so many. 33 million demigods have been benefited by seeing that universal form. And obviously the warriors in Kurukshetra, they were not able to see. They were not allowed to see. Why? Bhaktosi me. Krishna is saying, because you're dear to me, Arjuna, because you're very loving towards me, devotional towards me, therefore I reveal this beautiful form to you. So any one of us can see the universal form. We just have to become like Arjuna. Loving, very loving friend for Krishna. And if we ask Krishna to show us his universal form, he can. So there's a beautiful verse, right, in Bhagavad Gita. Basically he's saying, Saivam maya yoga prokta purantana bhaktosi me shakacheti rahasyam hi etaduttamam. He is saying the very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my dear devotee as well as my friend. Because he's so loving and dear, he has shown him. And can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So in that way Arjuna has been very kind to show us. So when Krishna is showing this kind of power, obviously immediately these personalities who witness that beautiful form will appreciate the nature of Krishna. But Krishna doesn't just use the universal form. He uses even other vibhutis, other opulences within the material world to kind of wake us up. Isn't it that sometimes we have, for instance, the thunderbolt? How many of us have been shocked the first time we hear the powerful thunderbolt in winter or whatever? Isn't that powerful? It comes suddenly. It's temporary manifestation, right? Like the universal form. It doesn't last long. Thunderbolt doesn't come all the time. But when it does come, when we hear the sound, the hearts start beating, right? This is Vibhuti. This is Krishna's energy. This is Krishna's power. Every now and then, he wakes us up how powerful nature is. Nature is very, very powerful. Yeah, he makes us realize. He makes us feel how insignificant that we are. Because we do get puffed up, right? As a scientist, as a philosopher, as knowledgeable people, as scholars, we get puffed up thinking that we know it all. We control the world. We can do whatever we want. And we just have to hear a thunderbolt in the sky. Oh my God. We get scared. Krishna wakes us up. The same thing with volcanic eruptions. A peaceful mountain with birds, insects, animals, plants, and humans and residents. All of a sudden, a volcanic eruption just blows up and just destroys everything in its way. This is nature's fury. This is Krishna's vibhuti. This is Krishna's power. A tornado comes in America, right, every year. In the winter, when the tornado comes, who is scared of air, wind? But when it comes in the form of a tornado, when it is collected power, it's so powerful. You can see even the houses floating in the sky. You can see animals floating in the sky. It's so powerful. So Krishna displays some of his power even in the material world in such form, not just a universal form. He is saying, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam shimad uchitam evacha tat tat eva vagachatvam mama tejom sasvam bha. Mama tejo, my opulence. Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creation spring from but a spark of my splendor. Can you imagine? All these powerful things that we see is just simply just a little spark for him. It's not a big deal. When you have a big bonfire, sometimes little sparks come out. They are beautiful like the fire. They have heat, they have light, but the power, the magnitude is so small in comparison to them. Krishna is like that. Krishna's power is like the main bonfire, but these little sparks are seen in the material world in the form of this kind of splendor, in the form of tsunami. Can you imagine how tsunami is powerful? Does it come all the time? It comes once in a while. But it makes us realize, oh my God, I better be careful with nature. Nature is so powerful. So Krishna personally doesn't have to come and show us his strength. He just engages the material energy to show us how powerful he is. And then we realize what's going on. So we mentioned Yashoda Mai. Yashoda Mai is was given the opportunity to be able to see the entire universe in the mouth of Lord Krishna. Again, she is giving us the opportunity to showcase the magnanimity of Lord Krishna. But at the same time, Krishna sometimes also manifests other forms. It doesn't have to be just Virat, the Virat Roop. Just like when Vasudeva and Devaki had baby Krishna. Isn't it that Krishna appeared as a full-blown Vishnu Narayan with 4-arm form? Yeah, he was supposed to be a little baby, but he manifested his Chaturbuj, his beautiful form, with Panchajanya, the Conch, Shudarshan, Komodaki and Padma. Immediately they realize he's none other than Narayan himself. Yeah, so sometimes Krishna does that. Partially he manifests those kind of forms. He also showed a form to Muchukunda. You know the story in Krishna Leela. When Kamsa was killed, Kalyavana was upset. He is the king of Magadha. From Magadha he came. He wanted to kill Krishna. He was chasing him. So Krishna said, okay, this time I don't have to entertain this kind of nonsense. I'll just shy away. I'll just run away from him. And he ran away deliberately. You know, he acquired that name Ranchor, right? He's known as Ranchor. You know, everyone thought that God is afraid of Kalyavana. He ran away. But actually he wanted to give the opportunity to Muchukunda, who is his devotee, to be glorified. Because Muchukunda was blessed to sleep for a very, very long time. And if anyone wakes him untimely, just by looking at them, he can just devour them to ashes. He had that power. Yeah. So Krishna is running away. Kalyavana is chasing, thinking that, yeah, I got him. You know, I'm in control. I'm powerful. He's less powerful. He thinks he's, you know, supreme person. So Krishna kept running away, and he led him to go towards Muchukunda's cave. And the moment he went to Muchukunda's cave, he can see him lying down. He said, oh, Krishna, I got you. And he wanted to attack him. Immediately, Muchukunda woke up. The first person he saw was this demoniac, Kalyavana, who was chasing Krishna. Immediately, he was burnt to ashes. So sometimes Krishna gives the opportunity to his devotees to get credit. He doesn't want to do all the killing himself. It's not fair, right? If God does all the killing. Sometimes you get devotees to do the killing on his behalf. And that way they get glorified. He's done that with Bhima, right? Jarasandha. He fought with Jarasandha how many times? 17 times? 17 times he fought. He made everyone think that, oh, Krishna cannot defeat. Yes, he defeated many demons, but he can actually be defeated. Or sometimes he cannot defeat. He made everyone think like that. Why? Because he wanted to glorify Bhima. He reserved that killing of Jarasandha to Bhima. You all know the story that when Bhima, Arjuna and Krishna went to Jarasandha finally, jumping over the fence, not even through the gate, pretending to be a sadhu. Jarasandha came and said, who are you? Well, we look like sadhus. Do you think we're Brahmins? We're sadhus? No. I am Krishna. He is Bhima. He is Arjuna. We came to kill you, to fight, to have one battle with you. And he looked around. He said, oh, Krishna, you're just a cowherd boy. I'm a big Jarasandha, you know. It's humiliating for me to fight with you. You're just a cowherd boy. Look at you, Arjuna. You're like skinny, you know, in comparison to Bhima. You're very skinny. I don't want to fight with you. But Bhima looks adequate, you know, for me to fight with. He's big and powerful. He said, I'll fight with him 1-to-1. He fought. He fought and fought. He couldn't defeat him. He was so exhausted. And Bhima turned around to Krishna. Krishna, what do? I cannot defeat him. Jarasandha is too powerful. That's when Krishna told him to split, you know, by pulling his leg. Yeah? He gave him the hint to split his leg in half. And that's how Bhima killed him. So at the end of the day, it's because of Krishna's strength, because of Krishna's guidance, the killing had happened. But people think, oh, Krishna ran away like a ranchor. So that's not the case. So in that case, when Jarasandha was killed, there were 100 kings who were in prison, right? So when he actually imprisoned them, he actually gave him a chance to see his form as well, his Chaturbhuj form, so that they understand his identity. Yeah. So that was another time when Krishna showed his form. The other time is in the Hastinapur Sabha, you know, the hall, when Krishna came for the harmony mission, you know, to create harmony between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. You know, obviously Duryodhana wanted to continue fighting. He didn't want to give a single piece of land for the Pandavas. So because of that, there was a problem. You know, Krishna tried to convince Duryodhana in so many different ways. That shows the humility and the kindness of God. Duryodhana needed to be slapped for his behavior, bad behavior. But yet Krishna was very tolerant. He tried his best to convince him. This is the nature of God. God cannot force us to love Him. God wants us to love Him naturally. That's why He's given us the independence. Every soul has the independence. Every minute we can reject Krishna or accept Krishna. That power is within us. That's the kindness of God. God cannot force us. I want you to love me. No. That's why He created the material world. So that we can naturally develop our love for Him and come back to Him. Yeah. So in this case, obviously, in Hastinapur, Duryodhana was very adamant. Because of that, at the end of it, when Krishna realized he's not going to change his mind, he manifested his partial Virat form. Manifesting in such a huge way. He also allowed all the members of the assembly to see that beautiful form of Krishna, to make them realize, you are now playing with fire because I'm going to be on the Pandava side. But unfortunately, demons are demons. Duryodhana, after seeing all that, he still wanted to continue fighting. He didn't want to compromise. And the end result was annihilation. All those warriors had been annihilated because of his adamant nature. So, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that, you know, the Vishwarup is material, but because it's connected with Krishna, it's Krishna's form. When we actually meditate, knowing that this is a gigantic form of Krishna, it becomes spiritual. In other words, anything material that we use for Krishna's service is considered to be spiritual. We have a lot of respect, for instance, for Mridanga, right? The expansion of Lord Balaram. It's utilized for the glorification of Krishna. Therefore, we have so much care and attention. It's supposed to be just a clay, right? Material thing. But it's used in the service of Krishna. So anything that's used in the service of Krishna, although it appears to be material, is spiritual. Therefore, due respect has to be given for those material kind of elements. The same with our activity. Prabhupada said, for instance, Grahasthas, they work outside, they earn money and they utilize every single penny in the service of Krishna, either to bring nice Krishna conscious children or to maintain a beautiful house where Krishna resides. The Grahasthas are meant to have a mandir in their home. Yeah? So that home becomes a home of Krishna. No, the owner is not the boss. Krishna is the boss there in that house. That's how it should be. Therefore, the whole house becomes spiritual, becomes a temple. When we connect everything to Krishna, everything becomes spiritual. Even our senses, sense of taste, sense of hearing, sense of seeing, when we use them for something other than spiritual activities, it becomes material. Those senses are material. But we actually use them, just like now, you're using the sense of hearing and listening Krishna Katha. That's very spiritual. Your senses are spiritualized. So this is the conclusion. Anything that's connected with devotional service, with bhakti, with loving service to Krishna, becomes spiritual. Therefore, we need to take care of everything very nicely. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, even the money, the income that comes in, we've got to be careful. That's Krishna's energy. That's Lakshmi, goddess of fortune, coming in the form of money, has to be utilized properly in the service of Krishna. Not abused in any way. Otherwise, it becomes material. So this is a message Srila Prabhupada is giving us in this purport. It's almost 9 o'clock. Sorry for the delay. At this stage, I just want to check if there's anyone who has questions, or if any Prabhus want to comment, correct anything I may have said wrongly. Sometimes instead of saying Bhima, I say, Balaram or something like that. When I hear my recording, I realize, oh my God, I used the wrong word. Any questions? Any comments? Anything to add? Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful class. So many analytical. I was just confused with Virat Roop and Vishwaroop. It is different forms, or
The word Virat means gigantic, enormous, very big. Typical one is during the harmony meeting with Duryodhana. When Krishna came into the Sabha, he manifested a Virat form, gigantic, massive form, to make them understand his identity. He's not an ordinary person. And he showed it to all the members, the people in the assembly as well. So that's a Virat Roop, gigantic form. When we say Vishwa, it's the universe, the entire universe. So what Duryodhana saw, that Virat Roop in the whole, is not the same as what Arjuna saw. Krishna is saying, oh my dear Arjuna, nobody has seen this form before. I'm only showing it to you. I think 2-3 verses in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned. So that's actually the complete universal form. In other words, just like when you're typing on a computer, you can tell the computer what to do, right? So Arjuna has the ability to be able to see anything he wants. He said, okay, I want to see the past. Immediately he sees the past. Okay, I want to see the future. What's going to happen? Immediately he sees that. I want to see the nook or corner of the whole universe. Pitalaloka, Svargaloka, Brahmaloka. You can see all that. So that is a very special form that Krishna manifested, the universal form. He gave him the power, the ability to see. Because everything is glaring. Krishna's energy was so glaring. So he had to give Arjuna the power, the ability to see. Otherwise he will not be able to see. He also showed, gave a vision to Dhritarashtra during the Sabha, because Dhritarashtra was there as well. So it wasn't just Duryodhana and the other members who saw that Virat Roop. It was also Dhritarashtra. So there's a slight difference. Even the Virat Roop Mother Yashoda saw is not considered to be exactly the same as what Arjuna saw. Arjuna's vision was Vishwa, the entire universe, which includes past, present, future, the entire universe, everything, whatever he wants, he could see. It was quite frightening for him. Therefore, immediately towards the end, he said, I want you to go back. Because he can see hell, he can see everything. He can see what goes on in hell, whatever he wants. So that word Virat is a gigantic form, big form, that Krishna displays to showcase his identity. Prabhuji, any comment on that? Barabar cha? Theek hai? Yeah, I mix Gujarati and Hindi sometimes. Barabar cha is Gujarati. My wife is Gujarati. So I hear a lot of Hindi words and Gujarati words, sometimes I mix them. Is that okay, Prabhuji? Yeah, any other questions or comments? I'm so happy to see my dear friend Amrit Gaur. Amrit Gaur Prabhu ki jai. Thank you for coming. I think it's 9 o'clock. We can end here. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaurapamanandi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We would like to thank His Grace Mahaprasad Govind Prabhu by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
He has been in Krishna consciousness since last 40 years. And he is leading BBT Africa and is traveling vigorously and translating in many languages, in African languages. So he is doing wonderful services in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And in Ethiopia, his house is the center, only one center, that is his house only. And whole his family members, everyone is initiated. So he is working very hard. So we'll pray to all the devotees, especially for him. And we'll request him that please come. It's not, this was your first time, so this is your home only. Not the last time.
It's actually my tradition. I travel a lot. I traveled to 11 countries in Africa last year, trying to get Bhagavad Gita translated in a local language. That's the aim. Bhagavad Gita must be available in the national language of every country. We've got about 54 countries in Africa. So traditionally what I do is at the end I take a beautiful picture with Srila Prabhupada. Can I be a pain and ask you, can we take a group picture with Srila Prabhupada? Possible? Hariva? Permitted.
सबसे अनुरोध है कि प्रभुपाद जी के पास आ जाइए, एक फोटोग्राफ लेंगे और ये आप जहाँ भी जाएंगे दिखाएंगे चंडीगढ़ डिवोटीज. इसलिए
Srila Prabhupada ki Gaura Premanandi.